So, would you breathe with me, please? Taking a deep breath and release. And again. And one more time. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about breath here in just a minute. So as I've shared with you all before, I'm going to tell you once again, there are a lot of people's pictures who are up here, and I really do feel like I get a chance to talk to all of you, so that's wonderful. So as I've shared with you all before, and you all before, it's really important to me, especially these days, that my talks are relevant. I don't want to just talk about theory. I don't want to just give a bunch of platitudes. Oh, it's going to be okay. I know we're all in this together and all that other kind of stuff. I want to give a talk that has something in it that touches and inspires and provides everyone with some tools to be walking through today's world. Because I have to admit that as challenging as our current situation is, it has really provided me with some opportunities to be relevant. I have had to put this teaching into practice in the past few months so much, sometimes really successfully, and I'm like, yay, and other times not so successfully. Like many of you, I have alternated between crying and shouting and mourning and being depressed and being angry and being confused a lot. On the other hand, I've also laughed. I've been inspired. I've sent jokes around. I've felt love. And right now I'm feeling a sense of hope. And I can go through all of those emotions all in a day. Which brings me to today's talk, which is called Moment to Moment. Because one of the coping skills that I have been using a lot recently is practicing being in the present moment. So let me tell you what happens for me and see if you can relate. I start to think about the past, and I mean the fairly recent past, like maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and how things were going here at the center. We had full house, really nice crowd. There was lots of love and lots of hugs and lots of laughter and really that sense of community going on. And we had activities going on. We had classes going on. And when I start to think about it, I get really sad. And I wish if only things could go back to the way that they were. On the other hand, and this is even a little bit more concerning to me, I can also start to go down that rabbit hole of the what ifs about the future. The ones what if we never be able to meet in person again? And what if the economy tanks? And what if people I love get sick? And what if there's a civil war? And what if, I got an imagination, right? So I can really go there. And those rabbit holes, they go down deep and they do all kinds of twists and turns. And I find myself feeling kind of panicked. So as we talked about last week, a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson I've really been working on, and that is, stand guard at the portal of your mind. Stand guard at the portal of your mind. And what I have to do is consciously, almost forcibly make myself be in the present moment. And sometimes it's all I can do to just say, okay, right now, in this moment, I'm sitting in my chair, and I'm breathing in, and I'm breathing out. Right now, in this moment, I'm sitting in my chair, breathing in, and breathing out. I love what Oprah Winfrey said about breath and being in the moment. She said, breathe, let go, and remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you know you have for sure. Wow! Right? And remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you know you have for sure. So what it does for me when I remember to do it is that when I remember to breathe, when I remember to stay in this moment right here, it breaks that cycle of the if-onlys and the what-ifs, and it allows me to reset, to break that cycle. So it's surprisingly simple concept, and it is surprisingly challenging to do. Because as with most things, it takes practice, it takes awareness, and folks, it takes the willingness to give up the habitual thinking. Because oftentimes, when we start to go into a spin, it isn't because of anything that's happening right now. It's because we have delved into our habitual thinking. So we're going to practice for a moment. Yeah, bear with me. Come on. I invite you to close your eyes right now. Come on, play. And bring to mind something that is disturbing your peace right now. Doesn't have to be anything big or life-changing. Just something that's bothering you, either about the past or about the future. And now, breathe. And breathe again. Observe yourself sitting where you are. And breathe. Remind yourself that you are in this moment right now. And breathe. You're not in the past. You're not in the future. You are in this moment. Right now, and breathe. Now gently open your eyes and just observe how you feel. How do you feel? There's something that's very powerful, that's very mystical about conscious breathing. Because when we breathe consciously, not the autonomic breathing that we do without thinking, when we do conscious breathing, it has the capacity to not only ground us, but also to bring us right here in the present moment. And to know why that is takes a little bit of wordsmithing, because you know me, I'm a wordsmith, right? So let's take a look at the word, another word for breathe. And another word for breathe is inspire. Think about that. Not only something is inspiring, but we inspire. Its root word is inspirare. That's Latin. Inspirare, which means to breathe or to blow into. And it shares an etymological connection with the word spiritus, which means God or spirit. So that when we take the time to breathe on purpose, we are utilizing the breath of spirit, which brings us to the present moment, because to spirit, that's the only moment there is. There is no other moment. That's why when we are doing our affirmations or we're doing our spiritual mind treatment, we do them in the present, in the now moment, because that is the moment of creation. That's when the seed gets planted. So we don't say, oh, someday I'm going to be healthy. We don't say, oh, my career's going to take off someday. That puts it on the future. We do it right now. I am healthy now. I'm experiencing great success now. And the reason that we do that is because there is no time or space in spirit. Spirit doesn't know time or space. It only knows now. It only works in the present moment. There is nothing else. So when we are living in the moment, we are literally co-creating our future in partnership with Spirit right now. And this living in the moment stuff isn't new. I certainly didn't make any of it up. I've learned it. I've embraced it, but I didn't make it up. It's been taught by scholars and authors and motivational speakers and personal development programs and spiritual teachers for years. For years. For example, one of the backbones of the 12-step program is the idea of living in the moment. Some of their slogans, as you know, is one day at a time or just for today. These are powerful living in the moment teachings that have helped thousands of people to recover from addictions. So the 12-step programs have lots of these. One of my favorites has made a world of difference for me is do the next indicated thing. Now, bear in mind, that's what the phrase was back when I was newly getting sober. I think now for new people in the program, it's do the next right thing. I learned it as do the next indicated thing. But what that means is instead of worrying about what's way up ahead of us or what happened in the past, that we stay in the present and we do the next thing that appears in front of us in the moment. And then we do the next thing that's in front of us in the moment. Do the next indicated thing. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm able to do this all the time. No way. I get wrapped around the axle as much as everybody does. I get freaked out. I get worried. However, I love what Charlie Brown said. I've developed a new philosophy. I'm only going to dread one day at a time. When I can find and remember to simply do the next indicated thing, what happens is it quiets my monkey mind that I don't have to figure out what to do. I'm going to do the next indicated thing. And it keeps moving me forward in life. There's another aspect of living in the moment that takes it down to even a smaller increment. Instead of one day at a time, sometimes it's 1 hour or even 1 minute at a time. Sometimes when a situation feels so dire, it feels so difficult that all we can do is keep it together for what seems like a minute or maybe just a couple of minutes. It's almost like, okay, I know I'm going to freak out here. I know I'm about to blow it, but I won't. In this exact moment, I won't. I might in a minute, but right now, I won't. 1 minute at a time. And what I have found is the most amazing thing can happen when I remember to do that. The minute goes by, and then another minute, and then another minute. And often what also passes by is that moment of freak out. So I'm going to share a story, another story from my life. You know, I share my life as my message. What can I say? So I've been sober a super long time, like 34 years. Some of you weren't even born. Long time recovering alcoholic and drug addict. But what you may not also know is that I am a sugar addict. There was a time in my life when all I ate was fast food and sugar. I had to make sure that there was ice cream and cookies and candy and all that other kind of stuff in my house. And I would get fast food and bring it home and eat that and then eat sugar. It was an absolute addiction. However, in 2006, I made the really difficult decision to give up sugar. I mean, overt sugar. Stuff has sugar in it. For God's sake, salad dressing has sugar in it. Bread has sugar in it. So I'm talking about overt sugar. And although I'm fine with it now, in the beginning, giving up sugar was harder for me to quit than booze and drugs put together. There were times when I would have such a craving for sugar that it was almost overwhelming. And if you're not a sugar addict, you may not know what I'm talking about, but if you are, you know. But I would say to myself, okay, it's 11 o'clock. I won't eat sugar until at least noon. Gave myself an hour. And if the craving is still there, then maybe I'll eat sugar. But between now and noon, I won't eat sugar. Well, what happened is that often by the time noon rolled around, the craving would have been gone and I would be on to other things. But not always. Sometimes I would have to renegotiate my agreement at noon, and again at 1, and again at 2. But by using that technique, not one day at a time, maybe 1 hour at a time, maybe 1 minute at a time, maybe 1 moment at a time, I was able to stick to my guns, and I can honestly tell you that I have not eaten overt sugar in over 14 years. Sometimes hanging on by a thread, 1 moment at a time. So I can tell you that this stuff works. One of the other programs that is in the 12 steps, I went through AA. One of the other programs is Al-Anon, which is for the loved ones of people who are struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs. And they have call it a poem or a writing or something. I don't know quite what they call it. They call it a brochure. And I'm going to share it with you. It's not pure science of mind, but it is an excellent reminder about how to live in the present moment. It's called Just for Today. Just for today, I will try to live through this day only and not tackle my whole life's problems at once. I can do something for 12 hours that would appall me if I felt I had to keep it up for a lifetime. Right? Just for today, I will be happy. This assumes to be true what Abraham Lincoln said, that most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is and not try to adjust everything to my own desires. Just for today, I will be agreeable. I will not find fault with anything and not try to improve or regulate anybody except myself. And just for today, I will be unafraid. Especially, I will not be afraid to enjoy what is beautiful and to believe that as I give to the world, so the world gives back to me. Those words are true in this moment. And they're true in the next moment and the next one after that. I love you guys. I miss you muchly. Hold out, hold out. We're going to get there. And so it is.